Today on Moviewallas, we talk about Bring Her Back and Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. It's time for Moviewallas. Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, it's Rashmi.
And Yazdi as well.
Moviewallas is your weekly dose of film reviews, movie news, and general banter in theatres, on DVD, online streaming, or in the back of an airplane. If you love the movies, this show is for you.
Greetings, all.
Hello.
Hello. We're consuming some Dubai chocolate. Rashmi, hold it up for the camera, because
It's a thing.
it's a thing.
Oh, can you see?
Yeah, that'll do.
Dubai chocolate is all the rage.
We've been seeing
Yes.
it. If anyone that's, I think, got any sort of a social media presence
And likes food.
and likes food has probably seen these videos where they take, either dark or white or milk chocolate and they slather it with this kind of pistachio mixture.
Paste with, I think it's Cinephile, which is this kind of gram flour, I think.
Is that what it is?
Yes, a little snacky things that you mix in. It's kind of crunchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
It sounds awful, but it's not.
But there's all these like ASMR videos where they've got the sound effects of, and it all sounds like absolutely delicious, and it's all
And it's
very
not bad.
And so we got some a couple of weeks ago when Rashmi's niece was visiting us.
Yes.
I'm not convinced.
It's very indulgent. It's
too
a
rich.
slab. It's a slab.
It's too rich.
It's too much. You can only have like a tiny little block.
Too
Well,
rich.
it's not just a slab. It's 2 slabs of proper chocolate.
Yeah.
With this filling in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you hear us kind of picking our teeth and
Like that, yeah.
I've got like little bits of pistachio still stuck in my mouth. But yeah, I'm glad I tried it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but anyway, sorry, that was my, I was just trying to get things out of my teeth. Okay, so we are back again with another episode. So 2 movies that I'm really excited to talk about. Our last episode was Mission Impossible, Friendship, and Lilo and Stitch. Today we've got Bring Her Back and Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. So I'm super excited to talk about both of those for very different reasons. But that gives us time to do a streaming pick. So let's jump into our segment of I can't find anything to watch on video on demand. This is where we try and help you navigate the mess of streaming services and pick things to watch ahead of time so that when you sit down with your remote control, you're not there for hours like we can be.
Yes.
Trying to find
Joe can be.
I do. I have fun with that. I've got so many things in my queue.
Which we never watch.
Because
same.
then we never decide.
We don't go what's in our queue. We just try and find something that's not in our queue.
It's almost like after you buy something and bring it home, you no longer want it.
I know.
So it's already in your queue, and then it's like
That's a really good analogy.
It's like books that you buy that sit on the shelf, and you're like, you can't wait to get the book. And the book arrives, and it's like,
I don't know who you're talking about, Joe.
Well, online
Don't know
digital,
who you're talking
It's
about.
the same thing. I've got probably 5 or 10 unread books on my Kindle. Okay, so what's in the streaming queues for both of yous?
Okay, I have one. It is one of my favorite movies from, I think last year or the year before. I think the year before, Past Lives by Celine Song. And she's coming up with a new movie.
The Materialists.
Yes, but Past Lives just touched my heart so deeply. I still can't stop thinking about it. So Past Lives is finally on Netflix.
Wonderful pick.
Yeah, just...
Yeah, I remember it worked really
It's
well.
weird. It's not a love story, but it's a love story.
It's a love story.
It's a love story.
It's a love story.
Yeah.
But it's so well
It's
judged.
just it's one of those what could have been, what should have been, or shouldn't have been, or should it be? Watch it and tell me you love it.
It was my favorite movie of last year. It was the only movie I went and saw, I think, at least once more in the theater.
You did, yeah.
It works so well.
I sobbed like a baby.
I sobbed like a baby too, and it's all about heart. It's all about heart. It's brilliant.
Joe, did it touch you at all, or was it competing with your Heart of Stone?
No, I think it melted.
I think you liked it, didn't you?
I think it ground my Heart of Stone into some sort of cement dust. I'm not sure what else it did, but no, it was great. I thought it was incredibly well judged.
Yeah.
I think one of the really strong aspects of the movie is just how it avoids being heavy-handed in any way.
Yeah.
Like nothing is, it's all there between the frames of the movie.
All there.
Yeah, my recommendation is don't watch this movie while you're, surfing on Instagram or TikTok on your phone, or while you're sleepy or whatever, and give the movie like half an hour to kind of
work its
flow
magic.
over you, to work its magic. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yazdi, do you have a pick?
I do have a pick. So one of my favorite American filmmakers is the filmmaker Nicole Holofcener, who's made some amazing movies, including Lovely and Amazing, which is a lovely and amazing movie. But anyway, the movie I'm recommending, she's made 2 movies so far with the great Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and this was the first movie she made with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and it's the movie Enough Said.
Oh, Gandolfini.
But and it was James Gandolfini's last movie, I believe, before he passed, or at least
lovely movie.
That's a lovely movie. It's so well written. Again, it's kind of a love story. It is a love story. It's a love story about adults, right? Or people of a certain age falling in love. It's so well considered. It's light, but still heavy-hearted. It's lovely, and just that cast, Julia Louis-Dreyfus and James Gandolfini, should make you run out and catch it. It's on Hulu. You should watch it. Enough Said.
Excellent.
That's not enough said about the movie. The name of the movie is Enough Said.
Okay. My recommendation this week will be a streaming series. We recently picked up on HBO Max's The White Lotus, and it's HBO Max, by the way.
Yeah.
It was Max
it's
for a
gone
bit.
back.
Now it's back to HBO.
So annoying. Make up your mind.
I mean, it's
Why does it bother you?
the Max branding.
Because it used to be HBO Max, then it became Max, now it's again HBO Max.
Okay.
No.
The reason for that was they wanted to get rid of the HBO because they were trying to attract a broader audience. So they were like, HBO, remember, HBO used to have things that were quite fruity. And so some families were like, we're not having that series. So they went to Max. But it's been such a disaster of branding because Max has no kudos, doesn't have any cachet. So HBO, people were not really understanding what it was. And HBO has a reputation for doing stellar, creative, original series. And I'm going to recommend one of them today, which is The White Lotus Season 3. So this is the third.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch the whole thing?
We are almost there. I think we're at episode 6 out of 8. And look, I mean, it's not as good as perhaps the first 2 seasons, in part because we know a little bit what to expect. So for those who haven't watched it, but The White Lotus is essentially a season set in a hotel. In the first episode of every season, we see that a death has occurred. So it foreshadows something will happen to someone. You don't know who that is. For example, in the first season, you see a coffin being loaded onto an airplane, but you don't know who it is, what the circumstances are. You see it through characters that are unrelated to said death. And so it foreshadows this, and then the rest of the season kind of takes you from rewinds and then takes you all the way up to that event. So look, these shows are kind of known for their eat the rich type mentality. It's despicable, privileged people doing horrible things and being despicable and dark and all the things that wealthy, ostensibly Americans are portrayed to be. But it's so well done. I watched this series, this season 3, which is set in Thailand with a cast that's fantastic. Mike White is the director. We have Leslie Bibb, Carrie Coon, Michelle Monaghan, Walton Goggins,
Loved Michelle Monaghan.
Patrick
Schwarzenegger's in
yes,
this.
Jason
that is
Isaacs.
Arnold's son. Parker Posey, Amy Lou Wood.
I feel like
Jennifer Coolidge, I think, is listed here. So
maybe in flashback.
or maybe that's the wrong season. But nonetheless, it is really, really fun.
Yeah.
And I keep sitting back, and you could pause the screen at any moment in time, and it's so well shot with a sense of atmosphere and place, and the characters are interesting and they're real and they do real things.
And HBO Max, HBO seems to have that uncanny ability to make shows that are so content rich that you feel like you have watched hours of film.
Yeah, no, you can watch
and the
an
episode
of
is
White
40
Lotus.
minutes, and it's shocking that the episode is only 40 minutes, but it's so content rich. I kind of used to find that with all of their shows. You know, you think back to like The Sopranos and Sex and the City, and you know, even things like Entourage. They're just amazingly good quality shows.
Yeah.
Well, The White Lotus famously comes from the mind of, its writer-director, and it's just his and his vision alone.
Yes.
So it's pretty remarkable.
It's fabulous. I mean, again, I think, knowing the game this time round, it kind of shows its workings a little too obviously, but still, all of the characters are really, really wonderfully done. Even small, somewhat ancillary side characters like a security guard.
Yeah.
They just have interesting plot lines, and so let's recap. Rashmi, your
Past
pick was
Lives.
Yazdi.
Enough Said on Hulu.
And my pick was The White Lotus, Season 3 on HBO Max.
Mine was on Netflix, sorry.
See, you were too eager to spit that out.
I was.
Okay, movie review time. Let's jump into Bring Her Back, which is our first movie of the week. So who's going to tell us about Bring Her Back?
Okay, so this is a brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. This is directed by the team who brought us Talk to Me last year, which we all loved. Danny and Michael Philippou. It's written by Danny Philippou and Bill Hinsman, and it stars Billy Barrett, Sally Hawkins, Misha Haywood, amongst a few others. We don't normally love horror, but for some reason, these filmmakers have really resonated, I think, with all of us. So, Joe, why don't you tell us, was this one worth the wait?
So, as you said, horror isn't... I like some horrors. I think of the three of us, I'm probably the one most likely to go and see something with a horror label on it.
Yeah.
But I'm not a hardcore horror movie guy, and I do get scared, and I like my sleep, and so it takes a lot to kind of compel me to go see one of these things. We liked Talk to Me so much last year because despite its kind of low budget, it had some very memorable moments, things that I felt like I hadn't seen done before. It was clever in its construction, and its plot was really largely compelling. Most of all, it was super compact. It was like in and out, and that was this movie as well. This is an hour and 40 minutes, which is, I guess, a reasonable length movie, but it passed by so quickly. This movie, I really enjoyed this. It was so punchy. The scares worked, the sense of dread, the characters. Sally Hawkins is marvelous in this movie. So this worked really well for me. I'll come back with some kind of deeper thoughts, but I just wanted to get that out there. I thought this was fabulous.
Yazdi, as the least horror-liking person ever.
And I'll repeat exactly what Joe said at the start, which is that I'm not a horror movie buff, but I just adored, Talk to Me, because I think they used, first-time directors, they used craft, sound design, tight editing to really kind of put you in the place of the person who was going through the haunting, if you will. And it was just marvelous. It was so clever, so well thought out. This movie extends that, but I think it extends that, for me, unfortunately, in the wrong direction. There is no cleverness in this movie. I think it's just trying to extend the horror genre. So it's saying, what have you not seen in a horror movie? What buttons can I push? And that's what this movie is doing. It's constantly pushing buttons. Like, what is going to upset you, right? What is going to upset you? And after a while, I got tired of the button pushing, because you can't just keep pushing buttons with. I mean, the plot of this movie makes no sense to me at all. So, and it just got so nasty in its eagerness to be, horror forward, like to push horror in the next direction. And I was like, come on. I mean, I have lots more to say, but I will say there is more cleverness in the first 5 minutes, single take opening shot of Talk to Me than the entirety of Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back just seemed like, I'm going to scare you and I'm going to make you feel sick, and there you go.
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't find the horror it didn't seem cliche to me at all.
No, it's not.
I think they're really, I read it somewhere else, so I can't take any credit, but I think what these guys are doing is kind of working on the genre of grief horror, right? Both of their movies are about situations where people are placed in a situation of grief, and then the horror comes from the grief, not the actual situation in some ways, although the situations are horrific. I really liked the fact that it's got a lot of themes. It really worked for me. And I didn't think there were that many jump scares. Like, it's so smart that it doesn't scare you from just like, oh, don't go down in the cellar. It's not that type of horror. It's just horrific what's going on. And I just love how it plays with your expectations.
Well, so just to respond to something Yazdi said, I mean, yes, Talk to Me was inventive.
Yeah.
And that's how I think they got noticed, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I think it came from a short that was expanded into a full-length movie. But it was built around a gimmick in some ways, right? And this movie has no such gimmicks. This is character-driven horror. Yes, there's some supernatural
something
going on in the background, but what I thought it was most effective at was building a sense of dread. I mean, yes, disgusting, Yazdi, and gross and grotesque, but there was this horrible sense of dread and danger constantly, especially because the two characters in the movie were minor, especially because one of them was the young girl was blind,
partially blind,
mostly blind.
Yeah.
But certainly, vision impaired. That there was this constant sense of danger for them. I adored her, by the way. She was such a cute.
Yeah, she was
present on screen, and all of the performances were like fabulous. But I stepped into the role of the bigger brother, where I felt very protective over her, and I was very scared that something was going to happen. So the movie kind of got me to that place really effectively. So again, this kind of slow burn sense of dread that really crescendos and maybe overcooked it at the end, but that didn't ruin it, was fabulous to me. This is kind of what I think Shyamalan's aiming for a lot of the time, but doesn't always deliver.
Yeah, those are all fair points. I agree. You talked about the two main characters, this girl who is partially blind and then her older brother, and they are placed within the care of Sally Hawkins' character, who has this...
She's exceptional, by the way.
She's always great. But she has this boy living in her house, and such horrible... These directors make such horrible things happen to this boy that it really yanked me out of the movie. I'm like, this is just... You guys need to see a therapist, right? Like, I don't want to say those things because they're spoilers, right? But the things that happen to this poor boy, those are only being done because you've never seen that before in a horror movie, and there's something to be said for that because horror is so saturated. But I was like, come on, By the time the fourth or the fifth thing happened, I was like, there's some kind of perverse pleasure in seeing this kid
tortured.
No, not just self-torture. And I don't like movies about kids in peril to begin with. And just seeing this boy just self-brutalizing himself. It just pulled me out of it. So again, horror is not my thing.
Yeah.
Again, we've never seen this before. I will grant you all of those. And
A24 really leaned into it because they handed us dental floss on our way into the movie. And we were like puzzled. Why are we getting dental floss?
In the shape of a tooth.
In the shape of a tooth.
Yeah.
I
think Yazdi gave me his straight away. Did you know? Or Joe, you gave me yours. You were like, I don't want this anymore.
Halfway through the movie, I was disgusted by this thing in my hand.
I went home and threw mine in the trash.
Oh, did you?
I'm like, damn it, be gone.
It did. I thought what it did, it reminded me a lot of that movie with Toni Collette called Hereditary.
Yeah.
Sure.
It kind of has Hereditary vibes in the sense
also
that
about grief. Yeah.
Yeah, you never quite know what's going on. Again, Sally Hawkins is excellent. And I think a lot of the movie rests on her performance being believable, and she is believable. And I think, again, the horror for me in this movie comes from the manipulation of one character over another. Like the horrificness of how this person goes in and strips away the relationship between this brother and sister and is able to do that. So I liked how clever it was. Again, for me, it works because it's not necessarily about the horrificness. It's just about the horror of the situation. Yeah, we can wrap this one up. Joe?
I mean, it's a very effective scare movie, but I think it's really highly accomplished. I think it's so well crafted and written. I don't think there's anything that I could see being improved. So,
the plot.
I mean, you say that, but it really drew me in.
Yeah.
So it really drew me into its universe. And, I guess there's something that's unsaid about what's been happening in the background that we don't know until the end of the movie. Then the movie kind of ends and we never really get to find out. But
it doesn't matter.
It's all implied, right? There's cutbacks and old VHS tapes and things like that.
What was that about? Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
I think it's trying to kind of, give you... Look, it doesn't have to explain its gimmick. I don't think, those are ultimately MacGuffins, right?
Yes.
Like what they are.
Yeah.
But those are cheap MacGuffins.
But it's not relevant. It's not relevant to the atmosphere. The fact is that these children are in peril, and we're always acutely aware of that.
Yeah.
So, goodness. This is going to be up there on my list of movies of the year. I love this movie. 9.
Wow. Yazdi.
I know what these guys are doing. I just want them to make more clever, inventive horror movie and not just lean in so much into, you're a horror fan, I'm going to show you what you've never seen before, which is what this movie is. And I will fight to the end that they are extremely accomplished filmmakers. The craft is exceptional. The acting is very good. The plot, we can talk about it, but it's a very, very accomplished film. So I think if you are a horror fiend, you should absolutely check it out. For me, it just got too nasty. It left like a really icky taste in my mouth, which I could not get rid of, and it just ends on such a... Maybe I shouldn't say anything. It's but it just left a really bad taste in my mouth. So 6 out of 10. It's still very accomplished. If you like horror, you should see it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Easily for me, somewhere between a 7 and an 8. I will give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, bring her back.
Yeah.
Movie number 2 of the week. I think, Yazdi, you said it before the podcast. Could not be more different to movie number 1. And that movie is Jane Austen Wrecked My Life.
Yes.
So give us an intro.
Jane Austen Agache Ma Vie is the French title. Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. It's
Go on, Joe.
Say it.
I don't know how you'd say Jane Austen, but Jane Austen Agache Ma Vie.
There we go. Jane Austen Agache Ma Vie. It's by first-time writer-director Laura Piani, and she's made a few shorts, but this is a first feature-length film. And the one-liner for the movie is that a desperately single bookseller, lost in a fantasy world, finds herself forced to fulfill her dreams of becoming a writer in order to stop messing up her love life. It stars Camille Rutherford, which I've never seen her before, in the title role of Agathe Robinson, Pablo Polly as her best friend Felix, Charlie Anson, Annabelle Lengrone, Liz Crowther, Alan Fairburn. This movie is made by a French writer-director, but, a big plot point of the movie is that she goes to a Jane Austen writing retreat where everybody speaks, or mostly people speak English. So I'd say there is equal amounts of English and, subtitled French in the movie.
So she was in an Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what did you guys think of Jane Austen Wrecked My Life?
I'm in love with this movie. I love this movie. I'm going to predict that Yazdi, it seems like a Yazdi movie, but I just love this. Look, from the first scene, a dark-haired woman in a stripy top comes out with perfect nails. How French is that? And it's, set in Paris, which I love. It's at one of our favorite bookstores, which we often visit when we go there, called Shakespeare and Company. It's a British, it has a lot of British books there, right by Notre Dame. This is so charming and sweet, and you can tell exactly what's going to happen right from the beginning, but the journey is so funny and just charming is how I would describe it. I love this movie.
Yeah,
sure.
I enjoyed this a lot too. I mean, look, as the one that's probably
made of stone.
No, least likely to kind of rate Woody Allen as one
yes.
of the influences or directors of choice. This movie is so clearly influenced by Woody Allen, right down to the typeface.
Yes.
Yes.
The character Agathe is very much like a female version of a Woody Allen protagonist.
Yes.
It has, tender moments of comedy and clumsiness and there are moments of characters being caught out doing things, and so it has all of those kind of ingredients. But look, I mean, this movie to me isn't necessarily even about the plot. It's all about the characters, and they're really well done. They are performed brilliantly by all of the actors. So it's a charming movie. It's really it oozes charm and but it's somewhat ordinary too. So it doesn't rise to the special for me.
Yazdi, was I right?
So you go to a laboratory and make a movie exactly for me, and that would be Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. It's like this is like you could not customize a movie to be more catnip for me than this movie.
I love it. I knew that I knew it.
I think so. First of all, it's simultaneously a modern movie, and it's also a very old movie.
Yes.
It's very considered, but it's also very
haphazard,
contemporary about how people interact right now in our current world. It's, how people are into situationships and nobody wants to be, into relationship, all this stuff. But I really I think a lot of people who may not be very romantically inclined may look at this movie and roll their eyes and they say, oh, it's so cliched and you know exactly how it's going to play out. But I would counter that by saying that Laura Piani has written this story, presumably about the lead character, but in a movie called Jane Austen Wrecked My Life, the entire movie is Sense and Sensibility rewritten.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's Sense and Sensibility rewritten, and that takes a lot of cleverness. And I love that it's also a character study. Like, nobody's perfect. Everybody is, making stupid mistakes. But I've never seen this actor before, Camille Rutherford. I just really admire that somebody's taking a character like her and making a whole movie about it. And there's something very British about the retreat, and the other character Oliver is so British, and he is, and her best friend Felix is so French, and I don't know, I just loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It's just like you're right, Joe. It's very Woody Allen-esque at his best.
Yeah.
When he does those piffles, it's like a piffle, as Yazdi would say.
Yeah.
But it's a delightful little piffle. And it's just, I want to watch it again. This is one that I think, like Midnight in Paris,
right.
It's not as smart and as witty as that, but there's something so endearing and honest and real about what we're seeing on screen. The screen isn't full of gorgeously fantastic people. These are real people interacting with each other, and all of the supporting cast is so enjoyable to watch. They all have their own quirks, and they're all writers. There's so much quirk in the movie, but it just seems to just come together so beautifully. I had a smile on my face the entire movie. My jaw actually ached afterwards. And Yazdi, I don't know about you watched the screener of this, right? You had a screener sent to you. And we watched it with the French. There was a French society, and also the book club. There was a bookstore.
I think it was a bookstore. The Water.
One of the
Warwick.
Yeah, Warwick's. Warwick's. For some reason, that there was a combined screening with them. So I heard all the French people laughing, and it's just so French. It's so lovely.
I don't think it was so French. It was also so British.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like
Fringlish.
Yeah,
it's Fringlish.
And the cast. I mean, it's interesting that you have a lead that can switch so seamlessly between languages.
And some of the English people too were speaking really good French, I thought.
And that's explained away by she's saying, her father used to be British.
Correct.
Yeah, but
of course. But I mean, still finding an actor that can,
who can
a talent
fluently,
that can play that role so directly must have been a challenge, because again, I think this movie is incredibly well cast. I think everyone, like you say, I mean, the Britishness and the Frenchness and the her sister, even like these little throwaway characters are revealed to us in their entirety within 3
seconds,
words of seeing them on screen. And that always amazes me when you can imbue the person's life story within moments.
Yeah.
Within 20 seconds.
And I've never quite understood how like great writing and great directors can achieve that. But all of that is here.
Yeah, and I often complain about movies, maybe unfairly, some movies which I say, this script hates its own characters, right? There's some scripts which are kind of in contempt of their lead character, right?
The White Lotus, season 3.
Yeah, or or
they're all hateful.
Yeah, or Blue Jasmine, which the script is written to be so contemptuous, and it's Cate Blanchett who makes it work. But this movie has so much affection for every one of their characters, be it the lead, of course, but her friend, Felix, who means well, her sister, her nephew, her best friends at the bookstore, this haughty British guy who's supposed to be, obviously Darcy from Sense and Sensibility.
Yes.
All of them, the writer has so much affection for them, and the writer wants to see them all through to a nice place. So, yeah. It has a completely predictable, completely conventional ending, but by that time I did not care.
Exactly. It doesn't matter.
I was so satiated.
Yeah. Okay, score it, Yazdi.
8.5 out of 10. This is my kind of movie. I'm going to bump it up to 9. What the fuck?
Good for you.
I love it.
But it's things are weird in the world right now, and we need a movie you can hug. And this is a movie I can hug again and again and again.
Yes. Joe?
Charming charming squared. I mean, really, I had such an enjoyable time spending time in the company of these characters, in the company of their situations. They made me smile. I don't think there were any any kind of emotional, kind of teary moments for me, but I did feel everything that the movie wanted me to. So I liked it a lot. 8 out of 10.
Jane Austen wrecked my life, enhanced my life. This is a 9 out of 10 for me as well.
Lovely.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what this
I just want to watch this
Laura
movie
Piani,
again.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Yeah, it was really
so
well
lovely.
crafted.
Like in the first half an hour, I had so settled into its charms.
Yes.
I was thinking, why is this a movie? I want to see like a 14-part, television series.
Like the cute little relationship she has with her nephew.
Right.
And
like, those PBS James Herriot novelized adaptations
yes.
where, these lovely characters, you just see them get into little adventures all the time.
You have to watch Bridgerton. Yeah, it's got like Bridgerton vibes to it a little bit.
Yeah.
The Englishness of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done, Laura Piani.
Yes, loved it.
And
is that your first 9 of the year, Yazdi?
No. No, I give a 9 to Sinners.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sinister.
Wow. You're being generous this year.
Yes.
Handing them out like candy.
Yes.
I know.
We'll see a 10.
I'm putting
Two
my
by
computer
May.
down now.
I will-
2 by the month
Yes.
of May. What does the world come to?
We'll
It's
2020.
because the world outside is burning that I have to find love with the cinemas.
Totally.
So will this be the year we see a 10 years? Let's hope.
Never.
All right. On that note, thank you very much for listening. More Moviewallas will probably be in a little while because we are traveling.
We'll be covering Tribeca Film Festival.
We will be.
Yes.
So Tribeca Film Festival is coming up in June. We will be there in New York, covering as much of it as we can.
Eating it up. Eating it all up.
Oh,
4,
oh.
5, 6 movies a day.
Yep.
Always a challenge at a film festival, but we do hope to bring you our standard kind of quote unquote live from the fest coverage. So you'll expect to hear some very tired sounding Moviewallas.
Tired but happy normally.
Yes.
And
And tickets are available right now if you are in the New York area, in the tri-state area.
yeah,
Do it.
That's
Yeah.
right. So there are. We'll post about I think a couple of picks that are from other film festivals that are going to be leading the film festival at Tribeca. We should definitely talk about those. But yeah, if you are a film festival fan, you live on the East Coast, you are within striking distance of New York, go to Tribeca. It's been one of our favorite film festivals. We've covered it probably like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
With
And it's
Moviewallas.
such a no fuss festival. You go in, you watch a movie, you come out. You don't have to wait for 4 hours in lines. None of that.
All right. So thank you very much for listening. As always, thank you for watching, those of you who check us out on YouTube. And we will be back in not
few
too
weeks.
distant future
Yep.
with more Moviewallas. Until then, too many movies, too little time. A goodbye from me.
And me.
And me as well.